Hello and welcome to the Windup Watch Fair. Wow.
Someone's
Not yet.
nervous.
Almost. This is actually the Windup podcast. We will be talking about the Windup Watch Fair here in just a moment. We are in studio. I've got a full house here today. I'm very excited to be joined by Blake Malin over there. Blake Malin, we miss you on the podcast. Welcome back, even if it is brief.
How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Wow. Don't be too excited.
Look, I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah, we also have a first time, what do you call it, person on the... This is your first time on the podcast, is what I'm trying to say. Nelly Calhoun, welcome to the podcast.
Thank
how
you.
are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm happy to be here.
Well, I'm happy to have you here. Blake, what are you wearing on your wrist over there?
What am I wearing? I'm wearing an Adapt Series 1 in the Harvest colorway.
Okay.
It's sort of like the gunmetal case with the green and the tan dial. It's been on my wrist since we launched the watches, and I'm enjoying it quite a bit.
That's good. And the brand and model is, again?
It's the Adapt Series 1. This is the expansion of our Adapt brand.
Wait, I thought
into
Adapt
watches.
just did straps and pouches.
No, it does so much more than straps
okay.
and cases and things like that. It's now doing watches.
All right. They don't allow me much access to what's going on in that side of the business, so I'm just I'm finding this out a lot of the times with with you listeners. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Nelly, do you have a watch on your wrist?
I have a vintage Universal Genève on my wrist that I bought at the Chicago Windup Watch Fair.
Lovely.
Gorgeous.
And for the audience, just to clarify, Nelly is our event manager.
Hi, yes. I am the event manager here at Worn and Wound, so I really spearhead the organization of the Windup Watch Fair.
That's right. We are coming up on the Windup Watch Fair. As this goes live, it is a little over a week, I believe, about 9 days away from right now. It's in the Altman building. See, I've learned a few details to try and sprinkle in.
Yeah.
You're doing well.
So, which I do from time to time on the podcast. However, you can give us a much fuller view of what to expect.
Yeah, so we're really excited about the fair this year. Blake and I have been working hard for over 9 months, prepping and getting everything together so we can have a really awesome fair. So for those of you who have been to the New York Fair before, previously we've been in Chelsea Market. This year we are moving across town a little bit to the Altman building on 18th Street, which is a venue that's about twice the size of the venue that we were in Chelsea Market, which mostly means we can bring in a lot more brands.
Wow.
We have 65 brands on the roster going into New York City, so it will be the biggest Windup Watch Fair yet. So we're really excited. We have 5 lead sponsors this year: Christopher Ward, G-Shock, Young Hans, Oris, and Zodiac will be joining as our lead sponsors. And we have the opportunity to have a whole separate space for breakout programming and panels, which is really exciting because we get to sort of bring in the community together to join us in conversation.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. A bunch of. Do you have a favorite of the lead sponsors?
Don't do
Okay.
that to
It's a
me.
good question. It's a good
Butner,
question.
There's
you
a
little
few-
rat.
There's a few brands that I'm really excited about being there. Fears is going to have a presence there, as I understand it.
True.
Yeah.
Furlan Mari.
Correct.
Yep. We're also going to have some brands that are not related to watches necessarily. I mean, they are, but they're not. So the James brand will be there.
James
They'll have their
brand,
own
okay.
space.
And they've got some pretty cool like EDC stuff.
Yeah, they've got knives and some pens and some other stuff, but they've also done collaborative watches with Timex, which sell out right away.
right,
So they won't
yeah.
have them at the show, but they've
Those
done
are
that in
cool
the
watches.
past.
I like
They're
them.
very cool.
Standard H will be back.
Standard Age. Shout out Wesley out there listening for sure.
We're also going to have vintage watches via Wind Vintage. Eric Wind is going to be there,
Eric Wind will be
which
there.
is really exciting. It's by far the largest wind-up we've ever done, the most complicated and involved wind-up we've ever done. It is terrifying, and it's not comforting when you talk to people about it. Like, we were on a call the other day, I won't say with who, and we were describing how big the event was, and they were just like, wow, okay. Like they were terrified for us.
Yeah.
So
That's not true. People are really excited. I think
It could be both.
Yeah.
It's a big undertaking, certainly, but it will be a really fun, exciting, huge event.
Yeah.
We have a lot going on. We have aside from our lead sponsors and our 65 brands, we have, a bar that will be sponsored by Watch Crunch. eBay is doing a big giveaway, which is really exciting. We have a whole lounge space downstairs. So there's no reason to leave, is kind of what I'm saying.
There's something for everybody.
3 days.
Yep,
You
bring your
gotta
whole
be there.
family. Come and hang out. All of us will be there, wandering around doing something. I don't know. All of us editors. Thomas will be there. Zach Kazan will be there. Zach Weiss, myself, even Patrick will be there.
What?
So if you want to stop by and talk to see the crazy watches that Patrick is always wearing on the podcast, he'll be there wearing some of them. He's got a crazy one on right now.
He has two on.
He has two. We all have two watches on.
Not
We
me.
came prepared.
Can I just point out how prepared Nelly was and how I just talked about being scared? That's kind of the vibe. That's the balance. You know what I mean?
That's how it goes.
Nelly knows what's going on. I just get upset. Also,
Yeah,
shout
to
out.
be fair though, you told me 5 minutes before that I was coming on this podcast, and I really had a meltdown. So it's a yin and yang situation.
It's true.
I managed to be here.
But shout out to some of the other stuff that's going on during that same time period. Watch Time is happening at their usual location throughout the weekend. They're doing Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They used to just do, I think, Friday and Saturday, so they fully extended to Saturday and Sunday, and they've got a bunch of really cool programming and panels and really great brands.
And crazy awesome watches that they have.
Yeah, no, they do a great job, and it's a very different event from ours. So like you can kind of come to ours, get one flavor, and then go to theirs and see something totally different. And then this is more. It's not like really like a public facing event per se, but Red Bar's doing their global meetup during that time.
Right,
so if you're a Red Bar member and you want to get involved in that, definitely check out Red Bar's website and learn all about it. But they'll be there doing stuff. So
lots of watch stuff happening.
Yeah,
that weekend, definitely go check out Watch Time. There's lots of awesome watches there. If you see any brands that you like there and you think they should be at Windup Watch Fair, tell them to. Sorry, no, definitely don't do that. We can cut that out, Patrick.
Cut it out.
Wink.
No, that's okay. People can reach out and want to be a part of it. We're trying to grow it as much as we can.
Yeah. Now we love the Watch Time Fair, and we'll definitely swing on over to that at some point. So keep an eye out for us there as well. So if you're in the New York area, what do they call it? The tri-state area? Is that what it is?
Tri-state.
Sure. Okay. There's more than a few states around here, though, right?
There's a bunch.
There's a whole bunch.
We want you if you're in New England. We want you if you're anywhere on the Eastern Seaboard. DC, Tri-State.
Yeah. All right.
Come
Yeah,
and
you heard
represent
it.
New York.
Anywhere on the Eastern Seaboard, you are welcome, and we can't wait to see you. Be sure to stop by and say hi. Tell us what you think of the podcast. We welcome it. Show us what's on your wrist. We are there to wander around, talk watches with you, and just be generally enthusiastic about what we're doing here with you. So, Blake, Nelly, thank you so much for stopping by and telling us about the fair.
If you want to follow along and get more details, definitely check out windupwatchfair.com. There's a full brand roster and a shoppable product showcase. So if you aren't on the Eastern Seaboard or can't attend in person, there's a lot going on online and on our socials as well.
Also, I was instructed to reiterate that the fair is not in Chelsea Market. It is at 135 West 18th Street.
Between
in the Alden building.
6th and 7th Ave.
Is it considered the same neighborhood? Kind of.
No, the edge of it maybe.
Chelsea-ish.
Yeah, like we're definitely in
Chelsea. Flatiron
Yeah.
edge.
Yeah.
Okay. A stone's throw.
Still the same city. You
Still
can
in-
walk between the two.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know what I
Barely
mean?
even a different neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So Windup Watch Fair, New York, October 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. Friday, the hours are 12 to 6. Saturday, the hours are 12 to 6, and Sunday, 12 to 5. So
and it's always free and open to the public.
always free and open to the public, and we can't wait to see you there.
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Thank you. Okay, well, welcome back. We've now we are in studio with Patrick. There's Zach Weiss.
Whoa.
Hello.
Hey.
And Thomas Calara. Hello, Thomas.
Howdy.
We are all in studio today. We talked about the Windup Watch Fair, so that was in lieu of an ad read. I hope you enjoyed that. So you're welcome, everyone listening. Okay, let's jump into a wrist check, which might be a long one. I think we're all wearing multiple watches today for a variety of reasons. I guess we start with Zach Weiss.
What?
Yeah, come on now. What do you got on?
Well, so I have on a normal a watch. I'm wearing what I always wear, so this is nothing special.
Okay.
But I am wearing a watch that is currently in for review. The Grand Seiko Spb149, which is the new 36.5 millimeter 44 GS manual wound watch, open edition, not a limited, in a delightful chocolatey brown sort of a color.
Yeah.
Which with a sort of matching gator strap, which actually works pretty well with the brown, I think.
Okay. You coming around to the gator stuff?
Sometimes
Okay.
I don't know, something weird's going on. I'm like changing overnight as some weird person. But I mean, this is what it's a review sample. It's not my own watch, so I didn't really feel like swapping it out. And it fit, and it's nice. It's got nice deploying on it. Yeah, it's a pretty watch. On my other wrist, I have the other thing that I normally wear. Have been wearing for about a little over a year straight now, which is a Garmin Vivo Smart, I think it's called, 4.
Okay.
Or Vivo Active or Vivo Smart. It's one of those two. And it's the smallest of the like health tracking devices they have. So it's not a full size watch. It's about a 1/2 inch thick rubber band with a screen on it. It, however, certainly does tell the time. It most prominently tells the time. So one could call it a watch, a digital watch, yes.
All right.
But not with a traditional form factor.
I've been thinking about maybe switching over to something like an Apple Watch. Is that
I
something
have
that you're
been
still thinking about?
been thinking about it because this has one real design flaw, which is that the charging port on it is it's got these like pins in it, and they're fully exposed to all the sweat and everything else. So a year later, it's like not doing too well, and it's having some trouble charging at this point. So yeah, I've been thinking about switching over to an SE, at least for like running and Peloton and stuff like that. I don't know if I'll wear it all the time. Yeah, that's a little large.
Yeah,
for me.
that's what I found. I made a post about some of my thoughts on the Apple Watch Ultra over on Watch Crunch, and a lot of the people that commented kind of had similar feelings in that some of the ones that like them and use it exclusively for those when they're active or those experiences or whatever, not like it's my everyday companion that I use to replace my phone or all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of like our burden to bear as like watch
Yeah.
people, right? You're kind of like on one side of that fence or the other. So yeah, I think we can still use it. It's still usable and functional and useful for running, Pelotoning, being active, stuff like that. So,
Just not sweat resistant.
just
this
not
one.
well that one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, the Apple Smartly are sealed off basically, right?
Yeah.
They charge magnetically or the
Yeah, it's a
wireless
little like dish that they sit
conductive
in.
charging. I guess that's what you call it.
Yeah,
I recently switched over to that on my phone. I
it's handy, right?
had always been using a wire, and now, like as has happened with most of my phones, the port mysteriously is just it's not working very well, so
Yeah.
it doesn't always charge. Nothing happened to it. Apple, nothing happened.
Nothing.
And then I was like, wait, I can just get a little thingy, and yeah, now that's how I charge it, and it's cool.
It's the future.
Do you think that we'll see an iPhone with no porthole there before we would see one with a USB-C connector?
Oh yeah, they are trying to get them to use USB.
That would be a very Apple
Well,
thing to do.
in-
Like, we'll just take it off altogether. You just
Yeah.
set it on this thing.
Well, in the EU, they just passed that, but it's by a
Yeah.
certain, it's like 2024 or something, that they all have to be USB-C as a standard, which
would be nice.
yeah, I don't know,
honestly.
but I feel like there might be some sort of accessibility. There might be some like reason why it has to be able
okay,
to
yeah.
charge, but I also maybe not. Who knows?
What happens when the thing after USB-C, the next best thing comes along? Then is it going to be
There's going to be a
another-
law.
Then there's going to be another.
You
Okay,
need to
all right.
include it. I like the idea of them just removing all ports, though. I mean, they started the trend of eliminating
Yeah,
the headphone jack.
headphone jack,
I'm
yeah.
honestly happier for it. There's really great options in the Bluetooth realm because of that.
Yeah, it's
People
true.
had to make their headsets Bluetooth
Yeah.
to be accessible on what most people were using. So
But the whole my phone has the Thunderbolt charger, and then my earphones, the Apple, what are they called? AirPods has the Thunderbolt, but then the computer is USB-C.
Yes, it would be
and,
nice to have them all on one.
It's just so so annoying how it's like various things. The mouse is a Thunder just
I know.
pick a damn thing.
do they supply? They don't supply a cable or a charger anymore.
cable.
They do.
Not the well, at least the things that I've gotten lately have just had the cable.
Okay, well they're still giving you.
Yeah.
the cable
It's,
one.
that's what you always need anyways.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to watches that don't need to be charged. Well, I guess they do in a
okay,
sense.
yeah.
Kind of. It's just a different type. Patrick, you have 2 watches on. Tell us about them.
One that's not charged with the motion of my arm, and the other with. I'll start with the simpler one. I have a Rado Captain Cook. This is a smaller version. That's the 37 millimeter, I believe. It's a limited edition. It has this sort of patina dial. Faux patina. Yeah, that's right. I like it.
Oh my God.
And then I'm rocking it not on. This kit included like 3 straps, and all the straps are great. There's a metal bracelet, a nylon strap, and then a leather strap. But I just never wear it on there because I collect vintage bracelets, and this is actually 19 millimeters, which is perfect for a majority of vintage bracelets. So it is on a Forstner bond clip or ladder style bracelet, which is really great. It's holding up. I'll say that the little catch system does pinch the arm, but it's worth it because it looks good. And then
Those are cool.
I like the look of it quite a bit. And the other watch I just got today, I wouldn't be double wristing otherwise, but this is how I will be taking these home. This is a Casio 8520 as seen in Last Action Hero, or True Lies, if you like that movie.
Yes.
But it's fantastic. It has a dual time as well as an analog handset. It's also a stopwatch and a chronograph, and also gives you the month, day, and date.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
How many episodes now back to back have we brought up Last Action Hero inexplicably?
I'm trying. I don't know. That's a good question. I need to watch it. It's been my mind for a little while, but I'm happy I have this watch, and it's really fun. And it's 60 click unidirectional bezel, the way God intended. It's great. It's fantastic, and the click on it's really nice too. You hear that? Listeners at home, it sounds fantastic. Anyway, yeah, that's what I got on.
All right, very nice. Zach did his time on screen podcast, and they were talking about the director who did Aliens, the guy that does the thing with the blue alien people now.
James
Cameron?
Yeah, that guy.
The Avatar?
And,
Okay.
Yeah.
Blue alien.
His name slipped my mind for a second, but they were all saying their top 5 movies from him, and none of them had True Lies in it. And I was like, no.
Really?
Wow, good for you for remembering that True Lies is James Cameron. I would not.
Yeah.
I did not realize that.
It's a fun movie, but I haven't watched it. It could be one of those
You
things
got
where if you go back and watch it,
Terminator
you're like,
2, you got
"Oh, this-"
Abyss.
Yeah.
Terminator 1 and 2. I forgot Aliens was James Cameron. But yeah, because Ripley, Scott's the first, and James Cameron.
Which I think is the better
and then
movie.
Fincher for 3, oddly. The worst
Yeah,
stuff.
boy, jeez, 3 all-stars. Alien is like straight up horror movie.
Yeah,
just about
survival horror.
Aliens is kind of like thriller,
It's
like
the
whatever
action,
type
yeah.
stuff. So, but I like True Lies for what it's worth, and Last Action Hero. It's all right in my book, but I haven't watched it in a long
good.
time, so I don't know how well it holds up. So,
I do want to watch that again. as well.
we'll have to do.
It's on Netflix currently.
I think it is. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, boy,
Yeah.
we're
Both-
gonna have to do a
both-
time on screen.
Both movies?
I don't
True
know
Li-
about True
okay.
Lies. You might have to prime that. Sorry.
Okay.
Or wherever, YouTube TV,
Right.
whatever you use.
Yeah.
Might have to.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
Worth it. Yeah, maybe. Thomas, what are you wearing?
So I am double wristing as well, just because I saw Patrick double
He
wristing.
started it.
So
Patrick
he started
started
a
it.
trend here.
Yep.
So I don't know which one should I start off with first. Okay, I'll start with the Citizen Aqualand. It is reference JP 2007, I believe. This is the model with the loom dial. It does everything that Patrick's new Casio does, except
And
Go on.
yeah,
Go on.
and it has a depth sensor. So yeah, there you go. Just like the Apple Watch.
How many movies has Arnold Schwarzenegger worn it in?
I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna have to get back to you on that one. But yeah,
I feel like did Sylvester Sly wear like the? I feel like that's something
Hulk
kind of.
Hogan actually wore.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
so
what it
even
was.
better.
Yeah. So-
I don't know.
Right?
Yeah, that might just make it depreciate interest for me.
All right. Well, you know who would win in a fight, Hulk Hogan or Arnold Schwarzenegger? So
Well,
that's
you know what? I feel like
Wow.
Hogan. I feel like Hogan is
I would
a
pay to
trained
see it.
fighter. Schwarzenegger's a bodybuilder. That's tough to say.
Yeah.
I'd pay to see it back in their prime and now.
Right. That's very true. That's pay per view. Yeah. yeah, so then I'm going to be doing a little bit of out of officing, if that's a term, with this watch next week. So stay tuned for that.
Cool.
And also I have on the Formix Reef Gmt, which by this time this podcast will be released. The review will have already been out.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is Formex's GMT take on their Reef Diver. And I got to say, man, I'm having a lot of fun with this.
You like it?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk more about this in a minute
Right.
because it's definitely a cool watch. I think all of us are fans of what Formex are doing right now, and this kind of exemplifies a lot of the little features that we kind of love about them. There's a
Most
lot
certainly.
of kind of enjoyable things to discover on this watch, little bits and pieces. So very cool watch. We'll have a link to the review down below, so check that out. I'm wearing two of my favorite watches. I have a Seiko Spb149 on one wrist, just because I don't know. I like this watch. And it doesn't first time lately. And and on the other wrist, I have an Urwerk UR100 on because Urwerk released a new watch this week that I thought we could talk about a little bit if we want to. So I thought I would throw mine on as I was reading about it. And
I tried to describe it in a week in watches. It's very difficult to describe that thing.
I still don't know what it is.
I'm like talking about. I'm like, so it splits apart. And did the little Vulcan symbol thing, and I tried to go through it all, but yeah,
it's a crazy watch. So this is it's a new take on the UR110, which you might remember is kind of like one of their classics. It kind of really opened up the dial for the first time and had those real large satellites that would rotate into position. And it had like the oil change gauge on it and the running seconds underneath there. It was a little.
Was that like a service indicator?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they had quite a few different unique versions of that watch, and they did some really playful things with it. I'm sure that they will with the 120 as well in time. The 120 definitely gets a much smoother, kind of pebble-like appearance compared to the 110. I feel like the 110 had a little bit more of like kind of a personality to it, whereas the 120 feels like, okay, this is maybe a watch that they want people to be able to wear all the time if they want to. It's still a little bit larger than something like the UR100 that I have in my wrist, but it opens up the dial and you get the split apertures that create the live long and prosper, the Spock thing. Yeah. And each one of them, when it splits, they each rotate along their axis and then come back together to display the new number.
And they do it like in a sequence. So it's like on the opposite side of the watch from where you read the minutes, like first one turns and then the other one turns. Really wild.
It's a cool watch, and it's one of those things. Like most Urwerks, I think, when you look at it, it's just kind of like, what's going on here? It takes a minute to process. But at the end of the day, once you see it, you're like, oh yeah, it makes sense, straightforward, easy.
Well, what's also cool about it, I guess the 110 was probably like this as well. I'm less familiar with their watches, but that so there's the central carriage, but then each satellite is also rotating in order to stay horizontal to the axis. So if you look at the watch, the numbers are always right side up to you, which means when the number is actually next to the minute, it's super easy to read it because it's just like a digital display that's just moving.
You're
down
literally
the side
reading
of the, dial,
the Arabic numerals next to each other, just like you would a digital.
Once you realize that, you're like, oh, everything else is fun and games. Like that, the time telling is super simple on these watches. You know?
You can almost have most of it just tucked up under your sleeve, with just that little bit peeking out, and you'd be able to read the time if you wanted to. But the whole blocks rotate on the 110, and it splits it into two, obviously, and then both of those things rotate and come back together. So I mean, it's cool for sure. I do feel like the 110 had a little bit more kind of funky personality to it, but I look forward to seeing where this thing goes.
I feel like this watch would look at home on the wrist of a soldier in the film Aliens.
Okay.
And they're sci-fi nerds. Who knows? Maybe they talked about it. I would definitely imagine Giugiaro is an influence on Martin Frey.
This has a little bit of that,
all that kind of stuff in there.
Yeah, asymmetrical vibe.
There's something armored about it. It's got a plate on the top and just the way the size of the lugs. You can see the bolts putting in. It's very industrial. It doesn't look like it's built like a watch. It looks like it's built like a weapon.
And also the way that the lugs are kind of integrated and articulating lugs there. Yeah,
That's the big feature here.
Right.
Urwerks usually don't have kind of quote unquote normal lugs, but these kind of have articulating, kind of like Debitune almost a little bit, where they kind of move apart from the case. So I'm sure it's a very wearable watch. I think it's 14.5 millimeters thick at its thickest point, but it kind of smooths out and narrows down. So cool watch for sure. A little bit on the spendy side, as these things tend to be, but something that's like just kind of fun to look at. And it's nice to see how they can be creative in new ways around this stuff. So and somehow not get in trouble for using the whole Star Trek nomenclature. But
Don't know how that works.
Did they use "Live Long and Prosper" in their advertising?
I mean, the press. I
Yeah,
feel like
all
it's
the
even
all the
called the
press stuff
120
is it.
Spock.
It is,
Yeah.
AKA the Spock.
Oh wow!
AKA the Spock.
AKA the spot.
I think I forgot about that in the weekend watches, but I was so caught up in trying to do the hand gesture.
Perfecting the hand.
I was
gesture.
Spock.
Is the thumb out or is the thumb in?
Oh no,
So
I
is
don't
it like
know.
this?
I'm not a Trekkie. I've always done it with my thumb.
You're gonna get
With the
called
thumb
out.
in? Oh
Shit,
man,
shit.
I don't know.
Oh no.
Somebody's yelling.
Don't come at me.
Somebody's yelling
Don't-
at their speaker right,
Right.
now.
Yeah,
You
don't
idiots.
Who knows what you just like threw
don't
up
at me
there?
with your phaser.
Set phasers to stun.
Senators are dumb.
Ouch.
All right, that's us. We're the dumb. Anyway,
Sorry,
Yeah.
Gene Roddenberry's estate.
Next Generation, great show. Loved it. Anyway,
Are you
Agreed.
Picard or
Kirk.
Kirk?
Picard.
Just shows what I know.
wait, there's one was the actor's name, and the other is, or is it?
Captain
James
Kirk.
Captain Kirk, James Kirk.
Yeah.
Wait, what's that guy? This is embarrassing. Yeah,
Patrick
I'm a
Stewart.
Picard. Yeah, I like Patrick Stewart, but no, the guy who plays Captain Kirk is
Right.
What's that actor's name?
Um,
Because Captain Picard is
The new Kirk?
Oh,
or the old-
William Shatner.
Shatner.
Wow.
Shatner. That's what I'm looking
it
for.
was on the
Hold
tip of my. Yeah, I was really bothered. I
Yeah,
didn't know.
yeah. But yeah, no, I'm a Picard fan. Come on.
Okay. Seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Done.
Okay. Well, for those of you that are still tuned in, we can get back
You made it through that.
Yeah, we can get back to these GMTs.
Yeah.
Actually, that I wanted to talk about. So this Formix Reef Gmt is a pretty cool watch. It's a little under $2,000, and it's kind of right in line with another watch that recently came out from Manta, which is their SkyQuest.
Yep.
With the new generation of SkyQuest, which you also reviewed the other week.
Mhm.
So you've had a chance to have quite a bit of time with both of these watches now.
Mhm.
What's your takeaway?
You know what? I think they're both GMTs, right?
Whoa.
No,
Big if
but
true.
yeah,
Breaking news.
right. But yeah, no, the Formex, I gotta say, it's quite a surprising watch. Just the couple of days I've just spent with it, just opening it and just kind of seeing the watch itself. It has a lot of qualities that are kind of just like pulling me in different directions. But I guess the one main feature here is the fact that you can kind of interchange the bezels on this, right?
You can interchange the bezels.
You can.
All you need is a very strong thumb or a butter knife or something like that, and you can
Right.
pop it right off.
Yeah.
I don't know how many iterations or how many versions of the bezel.
So I think there are maybe 5 or 6 24-hour bezels, and I think they have just one steel, and the rest are a ceramic.
Okay. Infill.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. And then also they provided us with a dive bezel, and on our on wrist
Oh,
reactions
this
video.
is okay. So the
Right.
the regular Reef also has the interchanging bezel. Can you put those bezels on here?
I would assume.
Oh, probably.
I wonder if that's what that
probably.
was. That's interesting
Right.
because those
Oh, I
have.
get it now.
No, yeah, those are the bezels on the
Yeah.
Reef
That's-
GMT.
that's the
or
thing.
on the Reef diver.
So you can stick it. So this thing has 300 meters of water. I mean, it's ostensibly like a straight up, very capable dive watch.
Right.
As well, it happens to have a GMT hand. So if you don't need the actual 24-hour markings on there,
Yeah.
or if you just like the look of the dive bezel,
Yeah.
you can stick it on there. I think we put a few on for a video. I think it looks pretty sharp on both of them, really depending on what strap option you've got.
Yeah,
on there, right?
definitely. And I think just as far as options that are out there for watches that have a dive bezel, but also a GMT hand, they're kind of limited out there, and not a lot of options come to mind. One in particular, the Bremont S302, is one that has a dive bezel and a GMT hand. But yeah, I mean, and when we interchange the bezel, the clicks kind of they change. Right.
Yeah, the grooves are on the bezel itself, not in the case.
Right.
So you can effectively swap from a 48 or to a 60 to a 120 just based on the bezel itself, which is kind of a cool feature.
Right. It's so clever.
Yeah.
And not only that, like, you're really changing the personality, the look of the watch. And it's got the quick change strap system. It's got the trick expansion in the clasp on this one.
So this one currently is on their rubber strap. It's a textured rubber strap, and it has their carbon composite clasp,
Deployant clasp,
right? And then it also has here a quick adjust.
This is one of the coolest quick adjusts in a clasp that I've come across.
Yeah.
The first time they showed this to me at a windup, I was like, "Wait a minute, go back, what?"
Yeah,
because the posts that you would put through the holes in the strap move, so you don't have to take the whole strap off, adjust a thing, put the strap in. I don't know how they've engineered. Like it's almost like they're brilliantly simple,
right?
But you kind of like look at it and you're like, how is this happening?
Space, like it just doesn't seem like there should be anything that's adjustable there. But you get this fine tuning on a deployant clasp.
Yeah, there's a
It doesn't add much girth either.
No,
like,
it doesn't.
It's still really slim. It's
the button on here is like very subtle. I mean, you can almost just miss it totally. And then
it hides it
once
when you close it though, right?
Right, it does. Yeah, and then once fully extended, you have to push the button to fully extend it, and then let's see if you guys can hear this, and then it kind of ratchets to tighten. So there's like 6 micro adjust points there.
Yeah.
To move, I guess the strap about 7 millimeters. Tightness or extension there, but yeah, I mean it's an awesome watch. I mean the case is just like, it's like an angular case. It catches light in like a crazy way, and throw in the steel bezel there, and then their applied markers kind of had that light catching feature to it
angular,
as well. Yeah. Right. And then they also have the additional set of numerals on the dial as well. So
the 24-hour markers are there. Yeah, so you don't need it on the bezel even.
No, yeah.
Stick the dive one on there.
No, exactly. Yeah,
Call it a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. This still has like kind of an undeniable design language of Formex. Love it or hate it, they're kind of like just leaning into that, and I think it works here pretty well. I think if you go, the Manta is kind of like right in the same price realm. I think they're using the same movements. Maybe, but they're right around the same price.
I believe so. The Formex uses a Sellita SW330, and it's worth noting that this is COSC certified as well.
COSC certified, cool. Yeah. If you want like the Manta kind of went to more kind of classic traditional look with their new SkyQuest. And this one kind of goes in the other direction a little bit. So depending on your taste, check them both out. We've got both the reviews out. Zach, you got anything to say about this thing?
I was impressed by this when I saw it in Chicago. I didn't get that much time to spend with it there. It's just too chaotic.
Yeah.
But immediately when I saw it, I was just impressed by how thin it was, and
it's under 12 millimeters.
Yeah, it really lies flat on your wrist, and then they popped the bezel off and swapped it around. It's like, whoa, it's really cool. It's just it's a really great modern concept, and they've just come a long way over the last several years. Formex kind of honing in on their design sensibility. They used to be known really for the suspension case, I guess you would call it, which is still really cool, but it was a case where like there's an inner case sort of mounted to outer case with springs, which wasn't like shock absorption. It was more that it let the watch sort of flex on your wrist as you moved. But they moved away from that, I think, because it probably added a lot of bulk as well as manufacturing complexity. They still have it though, like the Essence line.
Yeah.
So this one was one of their. It's a solid watch, right? And, they've just done really great material things with it, and everything has been considered, which I always like, and you can just see that they care about all the little details. Like the deployment on this is insane. It has like like big brands should be like ashamed of themselves that they don't have deployants that are half as clever as this thing, you know?
Yeah.
Plus their quick release is like the easiest quick release where you just push a little lever up, the straps pop right off, you put it in, they go right back in. Like they just do all these things really well. So aesthetically, you know, it's different. I like that. It's got maybe a hint of Genta, perhaps, and those sort of flanges on the side.
Yeah.
And in that sense, it reminds me of LaVenture as well. Like the same sort of case styling. I know. I think the immediate idea is like it's similar to a Nautilus, but
that one is very like on the nose, more Nautilus-y, whereas this feels like
pretty close.
Yeah, I mean those flanges are very Nautilus.
Yeah,
but they don't. But this watch does not look like a Nautilus. You're
Yeah,
not
no,
gonna
definitely
at all,
not.
you know.
That wouldn't be your first thought when you look at it.
No. Just like, you know, picking up. And I also didn't realize that the clicks were in the bezel. So when you had the dive bezel on, was it unidirectional or is it still
Bidirectional.
Bi still, yeah.
Bidirectional.
Okay,
Yeah.
so maybe there must be some like different engagement because I wonder if the diver is probably unidirectional.
So
not bidirectional.
when you take the bezel
Yeah, I wonder,
off, there
you
are
know.
3 spring-loaded ball bearings on what would be the internal area of the bezel. It's very odd, but they're sunken in. So there's these recessions or grooves, whatever you want to call them, under the bezel. The dive bezel had 120. This has 48. And no matter how it lined up, it just clicks into place. There's like
so it's just missing the ratchet sort of like to keep it from going back.
Yeah.
But it's a ceramic bearing that is landing on, and then the holes are what determine. It's just super clever. That's super clever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this thing is rad. I mean, like, very,
say,
very worth looking at. If
Yeah.
you're in the market for such a
They
thing.
say you can remove it by hand, the bezel itself.
We've seen them do it. He made it look
Can be
so
done.
easy, you know. Marcus, he's you know, muscly guy, just like. Plus, he owns the brand. He has a little.
He popped out
experience.
like he's opening a can of soda.
He's like, do it.
Same
I'm like,
way
I
he
can't.
opens his beers, just the thumb. No, it's really impressive. I just want to articulate how impressive that. Like the price is really reasonable. I think they average around $2,100 depending on the type of strap you put it on. There are plenty of options. There's actually 7 strap options, 6 bezel options, and 6 dial options. Bearing in mind that if you go for the Reef GMT, the only options available for the bezel are 24-hour bezels. So I'm assuming on their website you could buy the dive bezels because they mentioned how it's
that one fit
compatible.
Yeah.
Well, I assume that's why they sent it to you, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's really cool. I really love this. They have a green and gilt option that's extremely lovely and really tempting. But yeah, definitely worth checking out all the options on their site. They have come a long way. I remember like. What did I have? I checked out one of their, I think it was their Essence line, I think it was the model it was called. But the clasp was really interesting. And at the time, it had like these ceramic ball bearings in the clasp that were just so refined and so, I don't know, there's a fluidity to how this closed and obviously a nice security to it as well. But yeah, you're right. I feel like the accessories they have with these are some of the most exciting aspects of their watch, let alone the watch, because I think that clasp is extraordinary.
They're fun to discover. And like, you like taken back. You're like, wow, this would.
But it's so secondary. Like I'm not seeing any notes on that immediately pop up, but that clasp is honestly a selling point for this rubber strap is you can put that on anything. Oh, well, provided the holes match up with whatever you're using. But that's one of the best micro adjustment systems I've seen.
Yeah.
Definitely needed.
So there's a lot of great watches in this, a lot of great GMTs that are coming along in this price range. Not just the Formex or the Manta. Can we talk about the Boulder?
Yeah, I think that's out. I was on their
Boulder?
social media.
Oh, is it? Oh, well,
Yeah, that's a pretty good indicator. It's out.
That's why I paused there so he could have cut if he needed. But no, there's a new Boulder that you sent over, which is making use of a certain Miota movement for the first time.
So
Odyssey Freediver.
Yeah, Odyssey. So I think the Odyssey is an existing line of divers, big, chunky, faceted case divers at like 44 millimeters. I don't know if it's been called the Freediver before or not, but the GMT is using, the Miota 9075, which was unveiled earlier this year in a Bulova watch. Bulova obviously being part of Citizen Group. They sort of had access to it first. But this is one of the first watches we've seen in a micro brand or a brand that is just outside of that group. Though this is going to be widespread. I mean,
This is a movement that we've had our eye on for a while, kind of waiting to see where it would end up. Who
So
would be
what's
using
the
it?
price? Do you see? Because that's going to be the
So they're up for pre-order now, and it's $899 excluding that.
And this is a
Wow.
true GMT.
True GMD
So
under $1,000.
That's
So.
kind of ridiculous. The
Yeah.
Miyota 9075, obviously being the movement discussed here, which is a high beat at 28,800.
Yeah,
beats
it's funny
per
how they
hour.
call people. I've seen this with like other people calling it
Semi-high.
high beat. But I guess 21.6 has gotten fairly common in like, particularly like ETA movements that are like all the 80-hour ones are 21.6. So yeah, it is higher beat than those.
So we're using the 24.4 as like the baseline.
Yeah.
If it's under, it's this. If it's over, it's it's
So
high.
36,000 is extraordinary.
Yeah.
But,
This is really cool, this design.
Yeah,
by
I
the
mean,
way.
you know, the watch itself, it's like it's it's an aggressive design.
It's
I
very
think it's not gonna be
aggressive.
for everyone, but it's very much in Boulder's language. Huge loom plots. It looks like almost some sort of translucent dial there with a smoked effect, and I'm
Yeah.
not sure the bezel material. Honestly, it looks
semi-transparent, but it's cool
Yeah.
because you get to see the date wheel under
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what I like is
And
that
the-
I'm going to credit Bell and Ross for this, and I'm not sure they originated it, but the circular aperture with the date aligned with how you're reading the time. But what's cool is you can see the date wheel and how the numerals orientate when
Yeah.
they're not in the window.
Yeah.
It's so funky. Handset's lovely. Bearing in mind that it's a slightly larger watch than the two watches we just discussed at 44 by 51, if I'm not mistaken, maybe a
something
little bit
like
taller,
that.
52.
But just the fact that it's
Yeah.
it's out there,
No,
they're using
yeah.
it. Like I think that's the kind of the cool thing.
I mean, true GMT. Like, it's just kind of better. It depending on what you want to use your watch for. I mean, that's why they call them sort of like travelers or callers, right? It's like the convenience of the jump local hour is when you're traveling is so different than having to kind of reset the whole watch with the other GMT. That other GMT is more for stationary tracking of another time zone. Even if they're sort of put into traveling watches or called that, it's just simply not as convenient.
You're the person
Um,
that calls that time zone often, or you travel to that time zone often.
I mean, yeah, I or just use a 24-hour hand on a dial as well, which I often do. I mean,
Yeah,
my
which-
tutor
yeah.
is set to a 24-hour time most of the time, and I don't mind that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is super exciting, and that was the whole thing with the 9075 to begin with. It was so exciting. It's just that like now brands are gonna be able to put their twist on a true GMT that never could before even come close. Because like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what the most accessibly priced
True.
I mean, it's maybe the Tudor Black Bay Pro. I'm not. Maybe there's a Grand Seiko. You're talking mechanical. There's some quartz
Right,
movements out there
right.
that had it, but
Yeah.
mechanical.
I
Yeah,
think the
just-
Longines, the Zulu.
That's
Yeah.
new as well.
That's
That
a
is
new
pretty.
one.
I forgot about that. Actually,
Yeah.
good call.
What does that use?
That's a little bit closer to that's kind of right in between like this Formex and like the Black Bay Pro
Exactly.
price wise. I think, but I mean it's a premium feeling watch. And, it's
There was an Alpina. Alpina actually had in-house module with the True Jump, but they barely used it, which is funny. Yeah, I don't know. Super cool. I feel like also, back a few years ago, 9015, like people were sort of mistrusting
Hating
of
on
it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. There's always something to be snobby about, but I feel like at this
Yeah.
point, like the 9015 is accepted. Your Corona Tokyo watches that are a few $1,000s use them because they want to use Japanese movements, and he wouldn't use a movement that wasn't excellent.
Which is so
How
funny
many-
to me because like in every other industry, like I know my old man when I was looking at cars or even motorcycles recently was like, look at Japanese bikes, look at whatever we always look to their industry because we trust them mechanically. But then when it came to watches and with me at a 9015, there's so much like distrust. And it's like if it's not
It's just
Swiss,
the-
go home. It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
calm down.
Yeah, I think
It's,
there's it's become synonymous with kind of like quality Swiss movement in so much as that people use it as an example for it's like it's well made like a Swiss movement, or it's on time like a whatever, like it's just become, it's like pervaded the culture of it, right, the Swiss. But I hope that it takes small steps to change that, and obviously just kind of the general attitude and how people like us talk about these things, I think is important, but yeah, I think we can't just like obviously judge a movement based on where it was made,
No,
or anything like that. And so
Yeah, but yeah, so just everyone should be very excited. I just forgot Seiko actually has some true GMTs in the 6R line.
Oh yeah.
They're in some of the Presage watches.
With those enamel
they're like-
dials, am I thinking of what you're thinking
Maybe
of?
there's the ones like I feel like they call them the hard edge series.
Yeah.
They're maybe around 1600 ish.
Those are nice looking watches too. And
yeah.
the GMT, I think they have great ones. We've written about those.
We have. It's been a little while though since they've used it on something new, and I feel
Yeah.
like they're you're kind of waiting for them to do the dive watch GMT hybrid, but they might not because they don't really have like an archival context for that,
Yeah.
So they might not do that. But yeah, it's that one.
Yeah, the sharp edged series. In case you guys want
Right.
to check that out,
It
it's
also
part
has
of
a
the
pointer
Presage.
date on it. It's a funky movement.
Yeah,
And a power reserve too, right?
yeah. I believe
Yeah.
that's what the indicator is to the top left. That's really gnarly.
Yeah, I think that's a nice looking watch, and this was, I think, the most successful kind of that sharp edge series that I remember, at least seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
the
nice.
external bezel like that.
Yeah, no, I like more affordable GMTs in general. And then you know what? We all got excited about the Seiko 5 earlier this year.
Oh,
the
yeah.
SSKs that are phenomenal. you know,
Yes.
particularly if you love that case. That's a great entry GMT. I know it's not a true GMT, but functionally it'll operate the same with just a few more steps.
Yeah, I just feel like that was a common thread that you saw on Watch You Seek was any affordable GMTs out there, and I think
People are always looking.
Yeah, and now you're starting to see like different options at different price points, and we're spoiled for choice, and we're going. It's only going to get better. With this movement, with the Miyota movement, right? So
Looking forward to some clever stuff.
yeah,
With this.
for sure.
Likewise, that boulder's a great first jump into the pool, though. I think for that movement.
Yeah. All right. I want to switch back to anti-digi stuff just for a minute and talk about a new watch from Omega.
Oh,
It's a Mars timer.
Mars timer.
right.
It's part of that series. What do you call it?
The X-
Speedometers? No.
The Omega speedometer.
the Speed Master.
Mars timer.
Yeah, this is the X33 platform. So this is a new version of this that is kind of explicitly designed around timing a Martian day.
Yeah.
Right. What do you guys think of the
Martian
X33 overall? And is this a compelling version of it? Do you care about this? Is this a complication that's like, is this impressive when done in digital format?
Sure, why not? I mean, it's such a bizarre watch. I mean, and the X33 is cool in that it was designed for use, and it occurred to me that it also has professional on the dial because it is Speedmaster Professional, and it is used by astronauts. It's been used in space shuttle missions. Been used
We've
in
seen
like
it pictured on-
cosmonauts.
yeah.
It's been used like it's legitimate. It's a legitimate watch. It's like really a real tool watch. It's not a sexy vintage chronograph. I don't particularly have any interest in wearing one or buying one ever, but I think I respect it for what it is, and I respect that they go back to it because I think they knew this wasn't going to be like a hit the way that a Snoopy or something would have. It's definitely not the money making scheme, but there's probably a diehard core group of people that are interested in this.
If they threw Snoopy on an X33, like a digital Tamagotchi Snoopy, grow Snoopy. Would that sell it?
Different options.
Probably.
Probably
If we're
with like a
being
blue
honest.
bezel and a little Snoopy. Yeah. I mean, the whole Mars thing when it's like 39-minute difference. Somebody made a great comment. I think it was on my Week in Watches post from the other week when this came out. Was that it's useful for rover operators and things. It's basically like, but it's still hyper niche. But it's just like there's the purpose is people who need to be potentially on that other time line.
Right. Is Omega
callers,
are they
not
handing
travelers.
these off?
Yeah.
Right.
Does Omega still supply watches for NASA? Is that a thing?
You'd have to ask.
Yeah. Well, this would be cool if they gave people.
I can't imagine that's in NASA's budget.
This was also not a NASA
Omega
watch,
watches.
though. This one was
European Space Agency, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. They're gonna get to Mars first, right? Yeah.
At that point, we're just humanity, right? We're just like humans getting to Mars.
No.
No.
Who cares? Or like, what? I don't know. I certainly don't. I just think it's cool if we do it, and I think the achievement itself can be celebrated as such. So
To Mars, please.
it's Mars.
But like,
Yeah.
oh, whatever. I was gonna. I'm not going to say the next one. Anyway,
What watch?
Fortis did their Mars watch earlier this year
Yes.
too, which was also interesting. Time was not altered, but it's a chronograph that had various markings on it that relate to
A mission.
Mars stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it related to it related to, I'm conflating two watches. Shoot. So there was the Mars watch, which had the bezel that actually had to do with people who were training, I believe, in Israel for Mars. But then there was the other watch that was had to do with that space shuttle thing. That's what I'm thinking. That had the 90 minutes for this and 15 minutes for that and whatever.
Yeah.
Disregard everything I just said. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
But check out the Fortis.
Yeah, check out the
pretty
Fortis.
cool watches.
They're super gnarly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I don't know.
pretty rad.
Fortis is another one of those brands. It's I think kind of doing some cool stuff, and they're named like for some of the missions as well. So I guess all of the stuff will maybe be becoming relevant in the coming years as we mount all these expeditions to. Who's going to be the watch brand to sponsor all that stuff?
Right.
Oh, God. Blood will be shed. I'm sure.
The first watch worn on the surface of Mars. Ooh, I can see the Phillips auction now.
Yeah. I
In
think it
100 years
depends
from now.
who gets there.
Right.
Yeah.
And what would it be? What
Did they ever do that shuttle launch that was planned for earlier this
no,
year?
they've
not yet.
scrapped it. I think the next window that they're hoping, maybe November, is when it comes back up. But they moved it back inside, I think, for when the that hurricane, went through the
Ian?
area.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ian.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
This wasn't Musk, right? Talking about NASA.
No,
Yeah,
this is
so-
this is the
Artemis.
That guy from
the Artemis.
Yeah.
Yeah, that launch that they were
SLS.
gonna do is kind of that one is the getting back to the moon.
Right.
Yeah.
So
2025 will be the next
Yeah.
moon mission, which that's the year to get a Speedmaster. You heard it here
that's gonna
first.
be- yes, this is gonna. I mean, all the watch
Yeah.
events and the brands that are trying to get their way into
yeah.
all this stuff must be just massive.
Yeah.
I don't envy.
And
the-
Omega's just in there like,
We
we got the inside.
Well, maybe it'll be these. Maybe it'll be Omega again, and they have another 60 years of fodder for the space
suspect.
program.
Yeah, I was gonna say I suspect a limited edition Omega either way.
Yes, I feel like they've gotten a little bit away from the limited edition Speedmasters, though. I feel like we were seeing
No,
a
it's
lot
an
of them.
anniversary edition. They will get
Anniversary,
retired
yes.
after a certain amount are
Okay.
made of an undisclosed.
Wait, this year is an anniversary year.
Every year is.
Every year's anniversary.
Okay.
Yeah. We got to start putting these slogans on some merch. I think.
Yeah, we're missing out. The X33 though that just came out, that Mars timer. The new feature is the changing time.
I
Mars
did you
time.
phrase it
MCT
earlier?
time,
MTC
Yeah,
mission
yeah.
timer, Mars time.
Mars time mission.
Right, but that's exclusive to this model. But that's the only new feature, or rather new
And like
addition.
the coloration,
the cosmetics.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
as far as I recall.
Yeah, the bezel. It even had the old school style bracelet on it.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
not to undersell it. I'm just
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah.
$6,400 available now.
Yeah.
Do you need the Mars time on your watch?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. he
You're
said.
33 minutes. You gain 33 minutes. You lose 33 minutes.
I think
Wait,
it's
is there a
33 minutes
time
No,
on
more.
Mars?
it's 39 minutes longer. Is that
Longer.
right?
Yeah,
Being
but-
that it's further away from the sun.
Isn't that in a
so it
Bowie
takes
song?
longer for-
Is the time on?
Wait,
so you can't
closer
say-
to the sun? Am I wrong? Where
No,
is
Mars is to fourth.
Hold on, I can look at
no.
my phone,
Wait.
which has got
39 minutes.
No, you're right.
excuse me.
Mars is after us. There's
Yeah.
Mars. It's the red planet.
Mercury and Venus
So,
are the first two. Yeah.
I have this.
Listener
new,
Zach is looking at his phone right now,
in
and
the
his name
iOS, what is it, 16 or something? You can do the
you-
astronomy
Right.
things, which shows you the position of the planets relative to the sun. Very controversial if you were in the Copernicus's day.
Yeah.
And
Maybe to some people now.
Yeah, yeah.
Who knows?
And yeah, so we can confirm that
Bernicus is rolling in his grave right
at the
now.
age of 38, I learned where the planets are.
Well, you
That's
guys
cool.
still have this memorized? Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Saturn, Jupiter, Neptune.
No.
What's
I
the
don't know.
saying there? My
Oh man, I don't even.
Men
know
are
what
from
it is.
Mars.
mother.
Wait, like you don't think of it as in like what time is it on Earth, right? Because we have all these time zones,
Right.
so we have no frame of reference to
Mhm.
set what time
Well,
zone
there's-
matters to me on Mars.
It has something to do with
Mars.
the soul meridian, right? It's like there's the time at a specific point. 'Cause I
Tells
guess
us-
that must.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Sorry?
but I don't know. I can't think about this stuff anymore. It's hurting my head, man.
Hey
What's
Siri, what time is it on Mars right now? It didn't even have. It just pulled up a Mars 24 sun clock, but
Blew her mind.
Mars is about 40 minutes longer, so yeah. So yeah, she
But it
didn't have
adds
like if I say, hey Siri, what time is it in Paris right now? Like, it says it's this
Yeah.
exact time. There's no like,
But there is
Like-
time is relative.
but it's
Time
yes.
is made up too. Like 12 o'clock on Mars is to who or who's.
So I guess so
Aliens.
so it's actually like 6:30 right now on Mars, the whole planet
Yeah,
of Mars.
yeah.
I guess we can.
I wonder
take
if
that
there's
to mean-
somebody, and if this is you, let us know that like lives like in their home, but they've covered the windows, or maybe they put in some sort of like Mars-looking landscape they can see, and then they live on Mars time because it's 40 minutes, but it adds up. So periodically, you're like, you're way off on your days and things.
Yeah, so all your
So
fancy
you're-
perpetual
and now
calendars.
you have a watch that you can actually use before you're using these things. You're like, you want to just prep yourself for Martian life. Once again, shout out to The Expanse. Lots of it takes place on Mars.
Will we see? I think it'd be cool if we saw complications made to account for that difference in time. From like if
Well,
Omega
didn't,
built a
do, I
Speedmaster
think, yeah.
that
What about
that was just the length of.
that Russian watchmaker?
Yeah.
He does those lunar code. No, that's his moon phase. Ugh, I'm not gonna remember his name right now.
Is it
Although I
Konstantin
see-
Shakin?
Yes, it is. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
He's got the Mars timer.
He's got
Yes.
he's got all sorts of Mars stuff. Real into Mars.
Yeah. That
I
crazy
mean,
triangular
yeah,
UFO
so-
looking thing.
Oh wow. Yeah. That looks like something a stormtrooper would wear.
But yeah, no, this has an MCT time on it, a UTC time, and there's some way to set the time separately. Absolutely bonkers. Done mechanically.
I'm wondering if this
Yeah.
is useful for astrophotographers. Like, what is the best time to photograph Mars? Maybe then.
Where's the
Relative to
gold
what
hour
you're saying.
starting
Yeah.
on Mars?
Yeah.
Oh,
Wait,
let me
it's
check that.
MTC.
Konstantin Shakin.
You know.
Well, let's go. No, I look forward to I could see watch brands using this as an excuse to develop some unique, weird complications mechanically to account for the time difference.
Yeah.
So Omega kind of cheated, in your opinion.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like they can just program it onto the
Yeah.
circuit board, so they're not like accounting for it mechanically.
Right.
Right.
The teeth
It's
of the
sort of,
gear.
I mean, if
and
you
the-
think of it, it's not all that different than like side rail time and like the way that's calculated,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
I forget the difference, but the whole equation of time
Much
and
less
all
than
that
40
stuff,
minutes.
Like, it's very slight.
Yeah.
But I mean, Breguet was doing that, right? And in that age, they were making pocket watches that with the equation of time. Pocket
Yeah,
watches,
there's a
right? So it
handful-
balances. It averages the two. Is that what it is? Like real time.
versus side rail time
which
via
accounts for-
differential. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
Penny
there,
nugs.
there are very few kind of high end watches that account for that or that tell you the difference. So it's basically
Yeah.
like a hand that will kind of like swing plus or minus.
That's what it is. Yeah,
So
exactly.
You can
yeah,
see
yeah.
the differential
Yeah.
there between the two. I think IWC makes a side rail time with a
Yeah.
with a tourbillon. or
That has
something.
probably astrophotography implications.
Yeah.
Because that's you're not using our silly rounded numbers.
We must
Yep.
have an astrophotographer in the audience. Let me know what you wear
And what you shoot with,
and what you shoot with.
right? We want to know.
Yeah,
Does the new iPhone 14 Pro cut it?
exactly. There's got to be an attachment.
Yeah, no kidding.
I can shoot
Yeah.
Mars with.
Yeah. A 300 millimeter attachment onto the edge of the phone. All right. Well, let us know what you think about all these watches. Should we have watches accounting for Mars time? I wonder how different
Jupiter time.
moon time is.
Mm.
12 seconds different. You know,
Yeah.
all these wherever we might end up, are we going to need to account for the difference?
Just
in,
the seconds here in
yeah, exactly.
Well, according to a recent poll that went up on our Instagram page, 61% of our readers said that they don't care for the
Mars.
Mars time on a watch. So,
Wow.
So much
Okay.
Martian
so-
hate.
well, hey,
Another way to look at that
those are
is
just the numbers.
39% of you do care.
There you
Yeah.
go.
So
Which is just another way of saying that over a quarter of the population are interested.
extrapolate it out. Yeah, it's true. It's true. It holds up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think about all this. Let us know what you think of these cool new GMTs. Around $2,000, under $1,000. That Boulder. Do you care? if it's a caller or a traveler. Let us know. We'd like to hear your thoughts. And if you are in the New York area, we certainly look forward to seeing you, hopefully meeting you and chatting watches with you at the Windup Watch Fair. October 21, 22, 23 in the Altman Building in New York. I forget the address. If you want to know it,
135 West 18th Street.
Wow,
Look at that.
135 West 18th Street.
Yeah.
You can head to windupwatchfair.com for much more details, or just rewind to the very beginning of the show, and you can hear Blake and Nelly talk about it. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, take care.
Adios.